this is the video for our first titration lab. So the very first thing you are going to do is you are going to make your own sodium hydroxide solution. So in a dropper bottle, it says to add the appropriate amount of sodium hydroxide in there. So you're going to have to do that math, 300 milliliters of water. And then you can do this in a dropper bottle. You can either put it on the spinner or you can put the top on and shake it until it dissolves. You will be using this solution throughout the whole lab, day 1 and day 2. So don't dump it down the drain until you're done with day 2, okay? In order to properly titrate, the very first thing you're gonna do is you are gonna rinse and prepare your burette. In order to rinse and prepare your burette, what you're going to do is you're going to rinse it 3 times. The first time you are going to rinse it with distilled water, swirl it around, have it come out the spout. I'm sorry, you can't see that. Have it come out the spout by opening the valve. And then again, with a little bit of your sodium hydroxide solution, pour it in there, spin it around, so the very last thing to touch the inside of the burette is the sodium hydroxide solution. I'm just using a waste beaker. This could also go in your drains. And then one more time with the sodium hydroxide, so we know the last thing in the spout and the last thing in the burette was the solution we are using. Okay? Then you are going to use your burette clamp, and you're going to clamp your burette in place as so, and you have 3 Erlenmeyer flasks. You can't hoard the Erlenmeyer flasks, so if you don't think you can get through all 3 trials, don't make all 3 right away. Make them one at a time. In your Erlenmeyer flask, you are going to dissolve 0.4 grams of the KHP. So measure out 0.4 grams, put it on the spinner, and add your 60 milliliters of distilled water. I pre-made my KHP, so I'm going to put it in here. It looks like my burette is a little too low, so I'm just going to raise it up. Your spinner is going to be in there, and you can spin it to dissolve it. Okay? Make sure your valve is nice and closed. Once it's dissolved, you are going to add your 2 drops of phenolphthalein indicator. It's an acid, so this should be colorless. Okay? Spin it just to mix it together. To fill your burette, you're going to use your funnel, and your sodium hydroxide solution that you made is in a dropper bottle, so the funnel helps. Now, you could fill it all the way to the top to the 50 milliliter mark, but you don't have to. It's graduated, so you are going to write down your starting value and your ending value of when it turned pink. That would go on your quantitative data for each trial, so you can figure out how many milliliters it took for it to completely titrate, for it to turn light pink. So in order to titrate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my spinner on. I want constant spinning. Sometimes it helps to also have the light on or to have a white piece of paper so you can see your background. And I'm going to slowly add my sodium hydroxide solution to my acid solution. And what I'm doing, my burette isn't quite clamped on there good. What I'm doing is I'm looking for it to turn pink. When it turns pink, that means it's the end point. That means it's 1 drop past the equivalence point. So as it stays pink longer and longer, and it looks like I should have filled my sodium hydroxide a little bit more because I'm going to use it all before it turns pink. So I'm going to write down the amount that I used, and I'm going to refill. keeping my valve closed. And I'm going to write down my starting value again. And I'm going to add it in until it stays pink. When you get close, you go 1 drop at a time. Okay. And that's hot pink. That's a crappy job, but I'm sure you can do better than that. And I would write down that value, and you have 3 trials with the KHP, and then you have 3 more with an unknown acid. Okay? Thanks.